The warning lights turned red across the control panel. Yuna grabbed the flight stick hard as her ship shook from another hit. The Dandelion was a small cargo ship, not built for fighting. It was built for carrying medicine and food to people who needed help, but the raiders did not care about that. Come on, Yuna said to herself. She pulled the ship into a sharp turn, trying to escape the three enemy vessels behind her. Another blast hit the back of her ship. Sparks flew from the ceiling. The lights went dark for a moment, then came back dim and flickering. Yuna was 29 years old. She had short black hair and tired eyes. She had been flying ships since she was 17, first as a soldier in Earth's border wars, then as a cargo pilot when the wars ended. She had seen many bad things in her life. She had lost many people, but she had never stopped flying, never stopped trying to help others. The Krell Raiders were famous across the galaxy. They were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. They took what they wanted and killed anyone who tried to stop them. Today, they wanted the Dandelion's engine core. It was old technology but valuable on the black market. Engine power at 30%, the ship's computer said in a calm voice. Hull damage critical, life support failing. Yuna looked at the navigation screen. There was a moon nearby, Morax 7. It was a dead place covered in red dust and toxic storms. No one lived there, but it was her only chance. She turned the ship toward the moon and pushed the engines as hard as they could go. The raiders followed. They fired again and again. Each hit made the ship shake harder. Yuna could smell smoke now. Something was burning in the back. Then she heard a sound. A small sound, almost lost in the noise of the alarms. It came from the cargo hold behind her. It sounded like crying. Yuna set the ship to fly straight and ran to the cargo hold. The door was stuck, damaged from the attack. She kicked it hard again and again until it opened. Inside, boxes of medical supplies had fallen everywhere. And there, hiding behind a broken container, was a child. Not a human child, a Velari. The Velari were a gentle species. They had silver fur and large amber eyes. They were known across the galaxy for one special thing. Their bodies could connect with ancient alien machines that no other species could use. Because of this, the Krell hunted them. The Krell wanted that power for themselves. The cub looked up at Yuna with huge, wet eyes. He was small, maybe the same as a 6-year-old human child. His silver fur was dirty and his body was shaking with fear. "Please," he said in broken common language, "please no hurt." Yuna felt her heart break a little. She knelt down slowly, making herself small and not scary. "I am not going to hurt you," she said softly. "What is your name?" "T," the cub whispered. "T, that is a good name. I am Yuna. How did you get on my ship?" The cub started crying harder. "Family gone, Krell take them, I hide and hide, climbed into ship when door open. I sorry. Another explosion rocked the ship. T screamed and covered his ears. Yuna made a decision in that moment. She did not think about it. She did not calculate the chances. She just knew what she had to do. "T, listen to me," she said, looking into his eyes. "I am going to keep you safe. Do you understand? You are going to be okay." She picked him up. He was lighter than she expected, all bones and soft fur. He buried his face in her shoulder and held on tight. Yuna carried him back to the cockpit just as the ship entered the moon's atmosphere. The landing was bad. The ship hit the ground hard, bouncing twice before sliding across the red dust. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. When everything finally stopped moving, Yuna found herself on the floor, still holding T against her chest. "Are you hurt?" she asked. T shook his head, his eyes still wide with fear. Yuna stood up slowly. Everything hurt. She could feel blood running down her forehead, but she was alive. They were both alive. Through the cracked window, she could see the Krell ships landing nearby. 3 of them. Maybe 15 or 20 raiders total. They were already getting out, carrying weapons, walking toward the crashed Dandelion. Yuna looked around the ruined cockpit. The weapons locker was destroyed. She found only one thing she could use, a metal pipe broken off from the damaged wall. She picked it up. It was heavy and cold in her hands. Then she looked at T. "Come with me," she said. She led him out of the ship through a hole in the side. The air outside was thin and smelled like metal. The sky was orange and red, filled with dust. In the distance, she could see the ruins of old mining buildings, broken and abandoned long ago. She found a collapsed tunnel half buried in the hillside. The entrance was small, just big enough for T to fit through. Inside, it was dark but protected. Yuna put the cub down gently. She gave him the emergency pack from her belt. It had food, water, and a small light. T, listen to me very carefully, she said. Her voice was steady, even though her hands were shaking. You are going to stay here. You are going to be very quiet. Do not come out no matter what you hear. Do you understand? T grabbed her hand. You come too, you hide too. Yuna smiled. It was a sad smile, the kind that adults make when they know something the children do not. I cannot fit in there, little one, and someone needs to make sure those bad people do not find you. But what will you do? Yuna looked back at the raiders. They were getting closer. She could hear them shouting to each other. I am going to lead them away from you, she said. And then help will come, I promise. Someone will find you. You just need to stay quiet and stay alive. Can you do that for me? T was crying again. Do not go, please, do not leave me. Yuna leaned forward and put her forehead against his, the way her mother used to do when she was small. You are brave, T. You are so brave. I need you to be brave a little longer, okay? She pulled away before she could change her mind. She sealed the tunnel entrance with rocks and pieces of metal from the ship. She made it look natural, like it had been closed for years. Then she picked up her pipe and turned to face the raiders. They saw her immediately. They laughed. One human woman alone holding a broken piece of metal. They did not even raise their weapons at first. They thought it was funny. Yuna did not think it was funny. She ran at them screaming. The first raider fell before he could react, her pipe crushing into his head. The second swung at her with a blade. She ducked under it and hit his knee, then his throat. The third and fourth came at her together. She killed them both, but not before one of them cut her across the stomach. Blood soaked her shirt. The wound was deep. She knew she was dying. But she kept fighting. She killed two more before they finally brought her down. Energy blasts hit her chest, her legs, her arms. She fell to her knees in the red dust, 30 meters from the tunnel where T was hiding. The raiders stood around her, angry now. She had killed 6 of them. They kicked her, beat her. She did not make a sound. She just looked past them toward the tunnel, making sure none of them looked that way. Finally, a raider put a weapon to her head. Yuna closed her eyes. She thought of her mother. She thought of Hana, her friend who was supposed to be dead. She thought of T, alone in the dark, waiting for help that might never come. I am sorry, she whispered. The weapon fired. Yuna died in the red dust of Morex 7, her body positioned to draw them away from the cub. She died protecting a child who was not her own. She died like a human. There was nothing, no light, no sound, no feeling. Yuna floated in empty darkness, and for a long time she did not even know she existed. She was just nothing, part of the nothing, lost forever. Then she heard a voice. It was not a voice like human voices. It did not come from anywhere. It was everywhere at once, inside her mind, around her, through her. It felt old, so old that the word old could not describe it. It was like standing next to a mountain and feeling how ancient the stones were. You are dead, the voice said. Yuna tried to speak, but she had no mouth. She tried to move, but she had no body. She could only listen. Your physical form has ended. Your heart has stopped. Your brain no longer functions. By all measures known to your species, you have ceased to exist. Slowly, Yuna became aware of herself again. Not her body, but her mind, her thoughts, her memories. She remembered the crash. She remembered T. She remembered the raiders and the fight and the pain. She remembered dying. Where am I? She thought, and somehow the voice heard her. You are in the space between, a moment that exists outside of time. We have brought you here because we have been watching you. We have been watching your species for a very long time. Light began to appear around Yuna. Not normal light. It was every color at once, colors she had never seen before, colors that did not have names. The light formed shapes, images, pictures that moved like living paintings. She saw space, stars and planets and galaxies spinning in the endless dark. She saw worlds being born and worlds dying. She saw life appearing in oceans of water and methane and liquid metal. Billions of years passed in seconds. We are the remnant, the voice said. We are the last thought of a species that existed before this galaxy had its current form. We seeded life across the stars. We watched it grow. We hoped that one day a species would arise that was worthy of inheriting what we left behind. Yuna saw images of other beings, strange creatures from 1,000 different worlds. Some had built great civilizations. Some had learned to travel faster than light. Some had made peace with their neighbors, and some had made war. We watched them all, the remnant said. We tested them. We waited. But in 10,000 years of observation, we found none who met our criteria, none who showed us what we were looking for. What were you looking for? Yuna asked. The images changed. Now she saw herself. She saw her whole life playing out like a movie. She saw herself as a child, hungry and alone after her parents died in the first wave of the border wars. She saw herself learning to fight, learning to fly, learning to survive. She saw her failures and her victories, her kindness and her anger. Then she saw Morik 7. She saw herself finding T in the cargo hold. She saw herself making the choice to protect him instead of running. She saw herself sealing him in the tunnel, picking up the pipe, facing the raiders. She saw herself die. This, the remnant said, this is what we were looking for. I do not understand, Yuna said. I failed, I died. I did not even hurt most of them. What could you possibly see in that? You gave your life for a child who was not your own, a child of another species, a child you had known for less than 1 hour. You had no hope of victory. You had no expectation of reward. You knew you would die, and you chose to die anyway so that he might live. The images froze on her final moment. Her body on the ground, facing away from the tunnel, leading the raiders away even in death. In all our watching, across all the species of this galaxy, we have never seen this. We have seen sacrifice for family. We have seen sacrifice for tribe, for nation, for species. But we have never seen a being choose death for a stranger's child with no hope of survival. Yuna felt something strange. It took her a moment to understand what it was. She was crying. Even without a body, even without eyes, she was crying. He is alone now, she said. T is alone in the dark. I told him help would come, but no one knows he is there. He will die because of me. Yes, the remnant said, unless you go back. The words hung in the empty space. Yuna stopped crying. What do you mean? We are offering you a choice, true death or rebirth. We can return you to your physical existence, but not as you were. Your body was too damaged, too broken. If we send you back, we must rebuild you with our technology. You will still be you. Your memories, your personality, your soul will remain unchanged. But your body will be different, stronger, more capable. You will be something new, something this galaxy has never seen. Yuna thought about this. She thought about T waiting in the dark. She thought about the fear in his amber eyes when she left him. What is the cost? She asked. There is always a cost. There is no cost, the remnant said. This is not a trade or a deal. We are not buying your service or your loyalty. We are simply recognizing what you are and giving you the ability to continue being it. And what am I? A protector, a mother to those who have no mother, a shield for those who cannot shield themselves. This is what you chose to be in your final moment. This is what you will be if you return. Yuna saw T's face in her mind, his silver fur, his scared eyes, the way he had called her name when she left him. "Send me back," she said. The light around her grew brighter. She felt something happening to her, something being built around her consciousness. It felt strange and wonderful and terrifying all at once. She felt herself becoming more than she was, while still remaining exactly who she had always been. "The process will be painful," the remnant warned. "Your new form needs time to integrate with your consciousness, and when you wake, you will be alone. We will not guide you or tell you what to do. You must find your own path." "I understand." "One more thing. The child T, he is special. His species holds the key to our legacy. There are those in this galaxy who would use him as a tool, as a weapon. Protect him, Yuna. Not because we ask you to, but because it is who you are." "I will," Yuna promised. "I will protect him with everything I have." "We know," the remnant said. "That is why we chose you." The light became blinding. Yuna felt herself falling, or maybe flying, or maybe both at once. She felt fire in her bones and lightning in her blood. She felt her body being unmade and remade, cell by cell, atom by atom. It hurt more than anything she had ever experienced, more than the wounds from the raiders, more than the weapon blast that killed her. But she held on. She kept thinking of T. She kept remembering why she was doing this. Then the light disappeared, the pain stopped, and Yuna opened her eyes. She was lying on red dust. The sky above her was orange and filled with storm clouds. The air smelled like metal and blood. Her blood. She was lying in a pool of it, dried and dark on the ground. She sat up slowly. Her body felt strange, different. The wounds were gone. The cuts and burns and blast marks had disappeared. Her skin looked the same, but when she pressed her fingers against her arm, she could feel something under the surface, something strong and hard. She looked at her hands. They were her hands. The same hands that had held the pipe, that had held T, that had killed the raiders. But she could see more now. She could see the heat patterns in her skin. She could see tiny particles floating in the air. She could see colors that had no names. The raiders were gone. Their ships were gone too. All that remained was the dandelion, broken and burned, and the bodies of the 6 raiders she had killed. How long had she been dead? Hours, days. She stood up. It was easy, too easy. She had been dying when she fell, bleeding out from a dozen wounds, barely able to move. Now she felt stronger than she had ever felt in her life. T. She started running toward the tunnel. Her legs moved faster than they should. The ground blurred beneath her feet. She reached the tunnel entrance in seconds and stopped, staring at the rocks and metal she had used to seal it. Without thinking, she grabbed the largest rock and pulled. It came free like it weighed nothing. She threw it aside and grabbed another, then another. In less than a minute, she had torn open the entrance that had taken her 10 minutes to build. Inside, the tunnel was dark, but Yuna could see in the dark now. She could see everything. And there, huddled in the corner, holding the emergency light like a weapon, was T. He screamed when he saw her. He screamed and pressed himself against the wall, his amber eyes wide with terror. "No, no, no, no. Go away. You are dead. You are ghost." Yuna stopped. She knelt down slowly, making herself small, just like she had done when she first found him. "T," she said softly. "It is me. It is Yuna. I am not a ghost. I came back. You died, I heard. I heard them shoot. I heard you fall. You cannot be here." Yuna felt tears running down her face. Real tears. She was still herself. She was still human, underneath everything the remnant had done. "I know," she said. "I know you heard. I am so sorry. I am so sorry you were alone. But I promised you someone would come, did I not? I came back for you." T stared at her. He was shaking. 3 days alone in the dark, listening to his protector die, believing he was next. 3 days of fear and hunger and waiting. Slowly, very slowly, he crept forward. He reached out one small hand and touched her face. His fingers were cold against her cheek. "Yuna," he whispered. "Yes, little one, it is me." T collapsed into her arms, sobbing. He held onto her so tight that a normal human would have been bruised. But Yuna was not normal anymore. She just held him back, rocking him gently, whispering that everything was going to be okay. She did not know what she had become. She did not know what the future would bring. But she knew one thing for certain. She was alive, and she was never going to leave this child alone again. The Krell Raider camp sat at the bottom of a shallow valley, 300 meters from the crashed dandelion. Yuna watched it from the top of a ridge, her new eyes seeing everything clearly despite the darkness and the distance. There were 12 raiders left, sitting around heating units, waiting for a salvage team to arrive and strip her ship for parts. They had killed her. They had left her body in the dust like garbage, and they had no idea she was watching them. T was hidden far away, in a deep cave Yuna had found 2 kilometers from the camp. She had given him all the food and water from the raiders she had killed. She had told him to stay quiet and wait. "I will be back before morning," she had said. "What are you going to do?" T had asked. Yuna had not answered. She did not want him to know. Now she moved down the ridge like a shadow. Her body was different. She understood that more clearly with each passing hour. She could see heat, could see electrical signals, could see the tiny movements of air that told her where every living thing was. She could hear heartbeats from 50 meters away. She could smell fear. And she was fast, so fast that she sometimes scared herself. The first guard did not see her coming. One moment he was standing watch, looking at the dark horizon. The next moment, Yuna's hand was over his mouth and her other hand was breaking his neck. She lowered his body to the ground without a sound. The second guard heard something. He turned, raising his weapon. Yuna was already there. She hit him once in the throat, then caught him as he fell. 2 down, 10 left. She moved through the camp like death itself. The raiders never saw her. They never heard her. They just died one by one in the darkness they thought protected them. She killed them with her hands, with their own weapons, with anything she could find. She was not gentle. She was not merciful. She made them pay for every second T had spent alone in that tunnel. When there was only one left, she stopped. The raider was young, younger than the others. He was sitting by a heating unit holding a communication device, his 4 hands shaking with fear. He had heard the sounds. He knew something was wrong, but he could not see anything, could not understand what was happening. Yuna stepped out of the shadows in front of him. He screamed. He raised his weapon, but Yuna was faster. She slapped it out of his hands and grabbed him by the throat, lifting him off the ground. "You are going to deliver a message," she said. Her voice was calm, cold. "You are going to tell your empire what happened here. You are going to tell them that Yuna is alive. And you are going to tell them that anyone who hurts another Velari child will answer to me." The raider was crying now, his gray skin pale with terror. "Who are you? What are you?" "I am human," Yuna said, "and I am very, very angry." She dropped him and walked to the raider's ship. It was a small transport built for speed and combat, good enough to get her and T off this moon. She climbed inside, started the engines, and flew back to the cave where T was waiting. The cub ran to her when she landed, throwing his small arms around her legs. "You came back, you came back." "I told you I would," Yuna said, picking him up. "I will always come back. Now let us get off this rock." They left Marek 7 behind. Yuna set a course for the nearest neutral station, a place called Station 40. She had friends there. At least, she hoped she still did. The journey took 4 days. During that time, Yuna learned more about what she had become. She did not need to sleep. She did not need to eat, though she still could. When she cut her hand on a sharp piece of metal, the wound closed in seconds. When she tried to lift the heaviest cargo container on the ship, it felt like lifting a pillow. She was something new, something powerful, and she did not fully understand it. T spent most of the journey close to her. He slept curled up in her lap while she flew the ship. He ate the raider rations she found in the cargo hold. He talked to her constantly, telling her about his family, his home world, his people. "Mama was teacher," he said one night. "Papa was builder. They made me hide when Krell came, pushed me into small space, told me run. I ran and ran until I found your ship." "What happened to them?" Yuna asked softly. T was quiet for a long time. "Krell took them. Krell take all Velari now. They want us for something, for the old machines. We can make them work when no one else can." Yuna thought about what the remnant had said. T's species was special. They held the key to the remnant's legacy, and the Krell wanted that power. "I will not let them take you," she said. "I promise." T looked up at her with his big amber eyes. "You are Oma now," he said. "What does that mean?" "Oma, it means protector mother, one who guards the cubs when parents cannot. You are my Oma." Yuna felt something warm spread through her chest. She pulled T closer and kissed the top of his furry head. "Yes," she said, "I am your Oma." Station 40 was a massive structure floating in empty space, built from dozens of ships welded together over hundreds of years. It was a place for traders, smugglers, refugees, and anyone else who wanted to stay hidden from the great powers of the galaxy. Yuna docked the raider ship carefully, hoping no one would ask too many questions about where she got it. She took T's hand and walked into the station. She found her contact in a small bar near the loading docks. His name was D, a human smuggler with gray hair and a scar across his left eye. She had saved his life 3 years ago, pulling him out of a Krell prison ship. He had promised to repay her someday. When he saw her walk into the bar, he dropped his drink. "No," he said, standing up so fast his chair fell over. "No, you are dead. You are dead. I went to your memorial service. I watched them put your picture on the wall." "It is nice to see you too, D," Yuna said. D stared at her. His hand moved toward the weapon on his belt, then stopped. He looked at her face, her eyes, the way she stood. "Yuna," he whispered, "is that really you?" "It is really me. I am sorry for the scare. I have had a strange few days." She sat down at his table. T climbed into the chair next to her, watching D with curious eyes. D stared at the cub, then back at Yuna. "You have been dead for 19 days, he said. "The Krell sent a report. They said they killed a human pilot on Morax 7. They recovered your identification from the body. Everyone thinks you are dead. Everyone." 19 days. She had been dead for 19 days before the remnant brought her back. T had been alone for 3 of those days. The thought made her sick. "I got better," she said simply. "I will explain later. Right now I need information. What has been happening with the Velari?" D's face grew dark. "Bad things. The Krell have been hitting refugee convoys all across the sector. Hundreds of Velari captured every week. The Pale Council says it is not their problem. No one is doing anything to stop it. And the others, the humans who were helping them?" "Scattered, scared, some were captured too." D paused. "Yuna, there is something you should know. Hana, she is not dead." Yuna felt her heart stop. Hana had been her crewmate, her best friend. They had worked together for 5 years before Hana's ship was destroyed in a Krell ambush. Yuna had mourned her for months. "What do you mean she is not dead?" "The Krell took her. She is alive, but she is in a labor facility somewhere in Krell space. I only found out last week. I am sorry, Yuna. I was trying to figure out how to tell you before you died." Yuna stood up. Her hands were shaking. Hana was alive. Her friend was alive and being worked to death in a Krell prison. "Where?" she asked. "Where is the facility?" "I do not know exactly, but I can find out. I have contacts. It will take time." "Then start now." Yuna put her hand on D's shoulder. I need to get her back. I need to get all of them back. Dee looked at her. He looked at the determination in her eyes, the steel in her voice. He had known Yuna for years. She had always been strong, but this was something different. This was something he had never seen before. "What happened to you on that moon?" he asked quietly. "I died," Yuna said, "and something brought me back. I do not fully understand it yet, but I know one thing. The Krell think they can take whoever they want, kill whoever they want, and no one will stop them. They are wrong." She looked down at T, who was watching her with wide eyes. "I am going to find Hana. I am going to rescue her and everyone else the Krell have taken. And I am going to make sure no Velari cub ever has to hide in the dark again." Dee was silent for a long moment. Then he smiled, a tired but genuine smile. "You always were crazy," he said. "How can I help?" Yuna smiled back. It was the first real smile she had worn since before the crash. "Get me information. Ships, supplies, routes, everything you can find about Krell operations in this sector, and find me somewhere safe for T to stay." T grabbed her hand. "No, I stay with you." Yuna knelt down beside him. "Little one, where I am going is dangerous, very dangerous. I cannot protect you properly if I am fighting." "But you are Oma. Oma does not leave cub." The words hit Yuna like a physical blow. She looked into his amber eyes and saw the fear there, the fear of being left alone again. She made a decision. "Okay," she said softly, "you stay with me, but you must promise to do exactly what I say when things get scary. Can you promise?" T nodded seriously. "I promise." Yuna stood up and looked at D. "Change of plans. I need a ship that can hold both of us. Something fast, something tough." D laughed. "I think I can arrange that. Give me 3 days." "You have 2. The war against the Krell Empire was about to begin, and they had no idea what was coming for them. The Krell called her the White Ghost. No one knew where she came from. No one knew how she found them. She just appeared out of nowhere, tore through their ships and bases like paper, and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. She left no witnesses except the ones she wanted to leave, the ones who carried her message back to the Empire. In 3 months, Yuna destroyed 14 Krell supply ships, 6 military outposts, and 2 slave transport vessels. She freed over 1,000 prisoners. She killed hundreds of Krell soldiers, and she never got caught. The refugees called her the Mother of Morak. They told stories about her around campfires on hidden colony worlds. They said she was a spirit of vengeance, come to protect the helpless. They said she could not be killed. They said she was not human anymore. Yuna did not care what they called her. She only cared about results. Her ship was called the New Dandelion, a fast attack vessel that D had stolen from a Krell commander. It was small but powerful, built for hit-and-run missions. Yuna had modified it herself, learning to use the strange new abilities the Remnant had given her. She could see systems and connections that normal eyes could not see. She could understand machines just by touching them. T stayed by her side through everything. He was growing, both in body and in spirit. The scared little cub who had hidden in her cargo hold was becoming braver every day. He helped her plan missions, using his ability to sense Krell technology from a distance. He was her partner, her family, her reason for fighting. One night, while they hid in an asteroid field waiting for a Krell patrol to pass, T asked her a question. "Oma, are you scared?" Yuna looked at him. He was curled up in the co-pilot seat, wrapped in a blanket she had bought for him on Station 40. "Sometimes," she admitted, "but not for me. I am scared for you. I am scared I will fail to protect you." "You will not fail," T said with complete confidence. "You are the strongest person in the galaxy." Yuna smiled sadly. "I am not that strong, little one. I am just stubborn." "What is the difference?" She thought about it. Strong people do not get hurt. Stubborn people get hurt but keep going anyway. T was quiet for a moment. Then he climbed out of his seat and crawled into her lap. I think stubborn is better, he said. The mission to rescue Hana came on a cold day in the fourth month of Yuna's war. Dee had finally found the labor facility where Hana was being held. It was called Processing Station 7, a massive complex on a frozen moon deep in Krell space. 300 prisoners were kept there, forced to work in the mines extracting rare minerals for Krell weapons. Getting in would be almost impossible. The station had heavy defenses, constant patrols, and a garrison of 200 Krell soldiers. Any normal rescue mission would need an army. Yuna did not have an army. She had herself, her ship, and a plan. "This is crazy," Dee said over the communication channel as Yuna approached the station. He was watching from a safe distance, ready to help with the escape once she freed the prisoners. "Even you cannot fight 200 soldiers alone." "I am not going to fight them," Yuna said. "I am going to make them fight each other." She had spent weeks studying Krell command structures. She knew their weaknesses. She knew that different Krell clans hated each other almost as much as they hated outsiders. All she needed to do was push them in the right direction. She started by attacking the communication tower, making it look like sabotage from inside the station. Then she planted evidence that one of the clan commanders was planning a rebellion. Within hours, the two main clans on the station were pointing weapons at each other, each accusing the other of treachery. While they fought among themselves, Yuna slipped into the prison section. The prisoners were in terrible condition. Thin, exhausted, covered in dirt and bruises. Many of them were Velari, their silver fur gray with dust. But there were humans too, and members of other species who had tried to help the refugees. And there, in a cell at the end of the corridor, was Hana. She looked different, thinner, harder. Her once-long hair had been cut short and scars covered her arms and face, but her eyes were the same. When she saw Yuna standing outside her cell, those eyes went wide. "Yuna," her voice cracked. "No, no, you are dead. I heard you were dead." Yuna tore the cell door off its hinges and stepped inside. I got better." Hana stared at her. Then she started crying. Not sad tears or scared tears, but the kind of tears that come when hope suddenly returns after being gone for so long. "I knew you would come," she whispered. "Even when they told me you were dead, part of me still believed you would come." Yuna pulled her into a hug. "I am sorry it took so long. I am so sorry." They did not have time for a proper reunion. Yuna freed the other prisoners and led them through the chaos of the station. The Krell clans were still fighting each other, too busy to notice hundreds of prisoners escaping through the back tunnels. Dee was waiting with transport ships. He had called in every favor he had to gather enough vessels for all the prisoners. When the last prisoner was loaded and the ships were jumping away to safety, Yuna finally allowed herself to breathe. Hana sat beside her on the new dandelion, still looking at her like she could not believe she was real. "What happened to you?" she asked. "How are you alive? How did you do all of that?" Yuna told her everything, the crash on Morex 7, finding T, dying to protect him, the remnant and the choice they offered her. Hana listened without saying a word. When Yuna finished, Hana was silent for a long time. "So you are not human anymore?" she finally asked. "I am still human," Yuna said firmly. "I am just human with some extra parts. My memories are the same. My feelings are the same. I am still the person who used to steal your breakfast on the old dandelion." Hana laughed. It was a weak laugh, but it was real. "You were terrible at cooking. That is why you stole mine." "Exactly." They looked at each other, and for a moment, everything was like it used to be. Before the wars and the death and the loss. Just two friends sitting together, grateful to be alive. Then T came running into the room. "Oma, the Krell ships are leaving. We did it." Hana looked at the cub, then at Yuna. "Oma." "It means protector mother in Velari," Yuna explained. "He started calling me that after Morex 7. Hana studied T carefully. Then she smiled, a real smile that reached her scarred face. "Hello, little one. I am Hana. I am an old friend of your Oma." T looked at her suspiciously. "Are you a good friend or a bad friend?" "I hope a good one." T turned to Yuna. "Is she good?" "She is very good," Yuna said. "She is family." That seemed to satisfy T. He climbed up onto Hana's lap without asking permission and started examining the scars on her arms. "You have many hurt marks," he said. "Yes, the bad people gave them to me." "Oma will make the bad people sorry." Hana looked at Yuna. "I believe she already has." The rescue of Processing Station 7 changed everything. The Krell could no longer pretend that the white ghost was just a nuisance. She was a real threat now, one that had humiliated them in front of the entire galaxy. The Pale Council, the coalition of elder species that ruled the Outer Arm, finally took notice too. They sent messages demanding that Yuna stop her attacks. They said she was destabilizing the region. They said she was making things worse for everyone. Yuna ignored them. But she also learned something troubling from the prisoners she had rescued. The Krell were not just capturing Velari randomly. They were looking for something specific. They were taking the Velari to a place called the Threshold, a remnant structure at the center of the galaxy. And they were trying to activate it. "What is the Threshold?" Yuna asked one of the freed Velari, an elder named Sue. Sue's amber eyes were dark with fear. "It is the oldest of the old machines. The remnant built it billions of years ago. They say it can change anything, reality itself. Whoever controls the Threshold controls everything. And the Krell want to control it. The Krell Emperor wants to become a god. He thinks if he can make the Threshold work, he can remake the universe in his image. But only Velari can activate it. That is why they are taking us. They are trying to force us to open the way." Yuna felt cold. She thought about what the remnant had told her about T and his people. The key to our legacy, they had said. She looked at T, who was playing with Hana in the corner of the room, laughing as she made silly faces at him. The Krell Emperor wanted to become a god, and he was willing to enslave an entire species to do it. Yuna made a decision. She had been fighting a guerrilla war, hitting small targets, freeing prisoners. It was not enough. If she wanted to stop the Krell for good, she needed to do something bigger. She needed to stop the Emperor himself. "Call everyone," she told D over the communication channel. "Every ship that owes us a favor, every pilot who wants to fight, it is time to end this." D's voice was worried. "What are you planning?" Yuna looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there at the heart of the galaxy, the Threshold waited. "I am planning to save the universe," she said, "or die trying." Hana came to stand beside her, T in her arms. "We are with you," Hana said, "whatever happens." Yuna nodded. She did not know if they could win. She did not know if she would survive, but she knew one thing for certain. She would fight until her last breath to protect the people she loved. Just like she had on Morex 7. The Threshold was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It hung in the darkness at the center of the galaxy, a massive structure of silver and light that made even the largest Krell warships look like toys. It had been there since before any current species existed, waiting for someone to wake it up. Yuna stared at it through the window of the new dandelion. Behind her, a small fleet of rebel ships waited. They were not many, 30 vessels against the Krell Emperor's armada of 300, but they were all volunteers, people who had lost everything to the Krell and wanted to fight back. "The Pale Council observers are in position," D reported over the communication channel. "They are not going to help us, but they are watching. The whole galaxy is watching." "Good," Yuna said. "Let them see what happens when you push humans too far." The Krell fleet surrounded the Threshold like a wall of gray metal. Thousands of weapons pointed outward, ready to destroy anything that came close. And at the center of it all, the Emperor's flagship sat waiting, the largest warship ever built by any species. Yuna, it was Hana's voice coming from the pilot's seat beside her. Are you sure about this? Even with everything you can do, there are too many of them. I am sure, Yuna said. She turned to look at T, who was strapped into a seat behind them. The cub's amber eyes were serious and calm. They had talked about the plan for days. The threshold could only be activated by a Velari who was inside its core. The Krell had been forcing captured Velari to try, but none of them had been strong enough. The machine needed a willing participant, someone who chose to connect with it. T had volunteered. Yuna had refused at first. She had gotten angry, then scared, then desperate. She had begged T to let her find another way, but the cub had been firm. I am the only one who can do it, Oma, he had said. The old machine talks to me. It has been talking to me since Morax 7. It says I am special. It says I can make it do what we want instead of what the Emperor wants. And what do we want it to do? T had smiled. We wanted to help everyone, not become a weapon, a gift instead. Now looking at him, Yuna felt her heart breaking all over again. He was so young. He had already lost so much, and she was about to send him into danger again. But she also knew she could not protect him from everything. Sometimes the best protection was giving someone the chance to be brave. Remember, she said to T, if anything goes wrong, if you feel scared, you call for me. I will come. I know, Oma, you always come. The battle began with fire. The rebel fleet attacked from 3 directions, drawing the Krell ships away from the threshold. It was a distraction, nothing more, but it worked. The Krell could not resist a fight. They chased the rebel ships through the darkness, firing weapons that lit up the void like stars. While they were distracted, Yuna flew the new dandelion toward the threshold itself. The Emperor's guards saw her coming. Dozens of small fighter craft broke away from the flagship and moved to stop her. Yuna pushed the engines harder than they were designed to go. The ship screamed around her, but it held together. Hana fired the weapons while Yuna flew. Together they cut through the fighters like a knife through water. Ships exploded. Metal scattered. The Krell screamed over the communication channels, calling for reinforcements. But they were too late. The new dandelion reached the threshold surface. Yuna found an entrance, a door that no one else could see because it only opened for certain eyes. Her eyes. The eyes the remnant had given her. She landed the ship inside and carried T through the corridors of the ancient machine. Hana stayed behind to guard the entrance, her weapons ready for the Krell that would surely follow. Are you ready? Yuna asked as they reached the core. T nodded. He was not scared. If anything, he looked peaceful, like he was coming home. I can hear them, Oma, the old ones. They are happy. They have been waiting for someone like us for so long. Someone like us. A protector and a cub. That is what they wanted all along. Not a conqueror, not a king. Just someone who would choose to help others, like you chose to help me. Yuna felt tears in her eyes. She knelt down and hugged T tightly. I am so proud of you, she whispered. No matter what happens, I want you to know that. You are the bravest person I have ever met. T hugged her back. I learned it from you. He walked into the core alone. Yuna watched him go, her heart pounding, her hands shaking. Every part of her wanted to run after him, to protect him, to take his place. But this was not her moment. This was his. Outside, the battle was getting worse. The rebel fleet was losing. Ships were dying. And the Emperor's flagship was turning toward the threshold, its weapons charging for a final devastating blast. Then T touched the core. Light exploded from the threshold, brighter than 1,000 suns. It spread across the battlefield, passing through ships and bodies and weapons without hurting anyone. The Krell soldiers froze. The rebel pilots froze. Everyone in the galaxy who was watching froze, staring at the impossible light pouring from the heart of everything. And then they heard the voice. It was not T's voice, but it had his warmth. It was not the remnant's voice, but it had their wisdom. It was something new, something born from the meeting of two things that were meant to find each other. "We are not a weapon," the voice said. "We are a gift. We give you knowledge. We give you protection. We give you the choice to be better than you have been." Across the galaxy, ancient machines began to wake up, machines that had been sleeping for billions of years. They rose from oceans and deserts and moons, offering healing and learning and hope to anyone who would accept it. The Krell Emperor screamed for his fleet to attack, to destroy the threshold before it was too late, but his soldiers did not move. They were watching the light. They were listening to the voice, and for the first time in their lives, they were asking themselves if there was a better way. The Emperor turned his flagship's weapons toward the threshold himself. If his soldiers would not obey, he would do it alone. Yuna saw it coming. She ran from the core, ran faster than she had ever run, ran until her new body screamed with the effort. She burst out of the threshold and threw herself at the Emperor's flagship, crashing through the bridge window in a shower of glass and metal. The Emperor was tall, even for a Krell. He had 8 arms instead of 4, a sign of royal blood. His eyes burned with hatred as he saw the human woman standing in front of him. "You," he hissed, "you have ruined everything." "Yes," Yuna said, "and I'm going to ruin you too." They fought in the ruins of the bridge. The Emperor was strong and fast and armed with weapons that could cut through starship armor. But Yuna was stronger, faster. She was everything the Remnant had made her, plus everything she had always been. She was human, she was stubborn, and she did not know how to quit. The fight lasted less than 3 minutes. At the end, the Emperor lay broken on the floor, his 8 arms bent at wrong angles, his royal blood pooling around him. "How," he gasped, "how could a human defeat me? You are nothing, your species is nothing. You live for barely 100 years. You are weak and soft and fragile." Yuna knelt beside him, her body hurt. Her new abilities had limits and she had pushed past all of them, but she was still standing. "We are fragile," she agreed. "We break easily, we die easily, but that is what makes us strong. We know how short life is, so we fight harder to protect it, not just our lives, all lives, even the lives of people who are not like us." She thought of T. She thought of Morak 7, of the choice she had made in the red dust. "I died for a cub I had known for 1 hour," she said. "Because that is what humans do. We protect, we sacrifice, we love things that are not ourselves, and that is something your empire will never understand." The Emperor died looking up at her, confusion in his eyes. The Krell Empire collapsed within months. Without their leader, without their fleet, without the dream of godhood to drive them, the clans fell apart. Some surrendered, some fled, some asked for forgiveness. The Velari were given a homeworld, a beautiful planet with silver forests and amber skis. They called it New Beginning. T helped design the first city, working with the awakened remnant machines to create something beautiful. The Pale Council had to change too. The old ways of ignoring problems did not work anymore. The remnant gift had given power to species that had none before, had given voice to people who had been silent. The galaxy was becoming something new. Yuna watched it all happen with tired eyes. The war was over. The battle was won. But she did not feel like a victor. She felt like someone who had done what needed to be done and was now very, very ready to rest. 6 months after the threshold awakened, she sat on the porch of a small house on the Velari homeworld. T sat beside her, taller now, his silver fur clean and bright in the sunlight. "Oma," he said, "Hana is coming. She says there is a distress call from the frontier, refugees in danger. No one else is close enough to help." Yuna sighed. She had hoped for at least one quiet day. Hana's ship landed nearby. Her old friend stepped out, looking healthier than she had in years but still wearing that familiar expression of worry. "I know you are supposed to be retired," Hana said, "but these people need help, and they specifically asked for the mother of Morak." Yuna looked at T. He was already standing, excitement in his amber eyes. "Can I come?" he asked. "Do you want to come?" "Always." Yuna smiled. She stood up slowly, feeling the aches in her body that never quite went away, the reminders of everything she had survived. "Okay," she said, "let us go save some people." She had died protecting a cub. She had awoken as something the galaxy had never seen. And now, surrounded by family, she walked toward the ship to do what she had always done. Protect, sacrifice, love. Because that was what humans did. And Yuna was very, very human.